Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to tell you about the movie, Geostorm. Watch out for spoilers. In 2019, many cataclysms of hurricanes, floods, and drought hit the earth. Entire cities have been affected by disasters. So the whole world rallied to save itself from cataclysms. 14 nations were able to develop technology that made it possible to control the weather. Thousands of satellites have created a network that controls the climate to prevent natural disasters, and the system is controlled by the main station. Jake Lawson, inventor of the satellite system to control the climate, speaks to the main council. In 3 years, the climate control station must be put under international control, which the council does not like. Jake makes a witty joke about the senator's statement. The council is very unhappy with Jake's submission to them. The main reason for the displeasure is that Jake activated the system without the council's permission. If he continues to disobey, he will be removed from the head of the station. The senator says that the station will fire some of Jake's staff and send in their own people. Jake lashes out at the senator, and the senator, ignoring, ends the hearing. Jake meets with his brother Max. Max says things have gone horribly wrong and he can't help. He is made station chief and is forced to fire Jake. 3 years pass. The soldiers head out into the desert where they find a completely frozen city. All the people are frozen solid. Max meets with Secret Service agent Sarah. The president convenes a security council and Max leaves. One satellite malfunctions and freezes a settlement in Afghanistan. Max says they are to blame and the problem needs to be solved. He suggests that the problem be solved by the experts at the station. Max is instructed to find someone who can fix the problem. A member of security says that only Max's brother, Jake, can fix it. A malfunctioning satellite that was over Afghanistan docks with the space station. The satellite must be disassembled to find out the cause of the malfunction. The specialist takes the data from the satellite and hides it in a locker. He walks down the corridor and the hatch is close and he is thrown into outer space. Max arrives at Jake's house and talks to Jake's daughter. Jake meets Max very coldly. Jake now assembles engines for cars. He was fired by his own brother and lost his family, and his life has not turned out well. Max talks about the frozen village and the employee who went into space. Max says only Jake can fix the problem and he agrees. The scientist picks up groceries at the store. Then he drops the eggs in the street and sees them instantly fry. The ground begins to heat up and fire erupts from the ground. Buildings begin to collapse en masse. The daughter worries about Jake. He says there is no need to worry and he needs to fix the system. The daughter wants him back alive and Jake promises to return. The launch of the space shuttle begins. The shuttle with Jake on board takes off and heads for the station. The shuttle successfully lands on the station. Jake is met by a German scientist named Ute. She introduces the team of scientists that Jake will command. One of the employees is not very happy to see him, but when everyone finds out who Jake is, he is sorry. Max is talking to his lover Sarah. The phone rings. He gets a call from a coworker in Hong Kong. Someone deliberately wants to disrupt the network and cause a cataclysm. The lights in the room go out and armed men enter. Max talks to an employee, Dana, and he can't reach any satellites over Hong Kong. She does a check and says someone has deliberately blocked the signal. Jake contacts the politicians in Washington. Now he has to report to Max. Max talks about someone intentionally causing problems. Jake knew it was possible. The team prepares to test Hong Kong's satellite, but the system doesn't respond to the controls and satellite spins across the room and then crashes. Jake and the team check the remnants. All the hard drives with information are burned. The one drive that was in the airlock compartment survived. Jake and Ute go into open space to retrieve the disk in the panel. They pull the panel out, but suddenly Jake's spacesuit goes off and he flies away with the panel. The spacesuit doesn't respond. At the last moment, Jake unhooks the satchel and grabs the cable. Luckily, Jake manages to get the disk out in time. He doesn't tell anyone but Ute about it because they tried to kill him. They check the data. Someone deliberately ripped off the panels, but it was blocked. Max expects to meet a scientist from Hong Kong, but then someone pushes the scientist into the road and knocks him down. Jake talks to Max and asks him for forgiveness. He tells him a story from his childhood about fishing with his father. Max meets Dana and he shows him the tape of Jake's story. His father never took them fishing. Jake encrypted the code in the story. Someone has sabotaged the government and no one can be trusted. They also need to find information about Project Zeus, but the data is encrypted. Max asks Sarah to go on a crime spree to steal data about Project Zeus. But Sarah took an oath, but still agrees to do it. Jake and Ute look through the archival footage of the dead employee. They head to the locker room but find nothing. A team member points a gun at them, but realizes they are not the traitors. The employee shows the locker. Inside they find satellite data. They find a virus inside. Max, Sarah and Dana find information about Project Zeus, mass cataclysms, Geostorm. Max contacts Jake. He talks about someone destroying cities with a climate system. We need to destroy the virus, so we need to reboot the whole system, but we need a code that only the president has, but there is a risk that the president is involved. Max meets with Sarah and talks about stealing the cancellation code from the president. Alarms go off. Communication over a lot of satellites is lost. Huge chunks of ice start falling out in Tokyo. More than 1,000 storm warnings occur. In Brazil, the coast begins to freeze. Backup satellites need to be launched to collide with the damaged ones. A city in Brazil continues to freeze. The backup satellite collides and incapacitates the damaged one, but a geostorm warning comes in. Max sees that the next geostorm will start in Florida. Max decides to tell his supervisor that a global geostorm is coming and he needs to shut down the climate system. The warden says that you can't just take the cancellation code, because the cancellation code is the president himself. A warning appears on the station to start the station's self-destruct. Only crew member Duncan can cancel the self-destruct. Jake realizes that he is the one who did it. Jake finds him and demands that the self-destruct be disabled, but Duncan points a gun at him. Jake hits him and snatches the gun, but the glass is damaged. Jake escapes and Duncan is carried off into space. Max and his boss go to the president, but the boss tricks him and tries to shoot him. Max tells Sarah that it's not the president and that a storm is about to break out here. Now it is necessary to kidnap the president. Sarah shoots, saying that gunmen have been spotted, and with Max successfully kidnaps the president. A violent storm with lightning begins and huge tornadoes sweep through India. Everything in the city begins to collapse and Sarah struggles to dodge the debris. There is an evacuation at the station, but Jake decides to stay behind to activate the cancellation code. The car with the president is already waiting for Max's boss to kill. They see the car and blow it up. Suddenly, Sarah grabs the boss and the police move in and grab him. A huge tsunami is coming to the Arab Emirates. The president activates a system override and thanks Jake for his self-sacrifice. The station's self-destruct cannot be disabled, and Jake says goodbye to Max. Jake runs to the command center, but the path is blocked. There are 2 minutes left in the geostorm. Jake tries to open the door and sees Ute. Locally, they activate a system shutdown. Jake reboots the system and the virus is destroyed. The station is completely destroyed and Jake sees the surviving satellite. They successfully get to the satellite and the station explodes. The main center notices the surviving satellite. The shuttle arrives for the satellite and picks it up. On the ground, everything comes back to normal. Jake and Ute are joyfully welcomed. Max is glad Jake is back. This is the end of the movie, Geostorm. A very interesting film about a global catastrophe threatening all of humanity. Thanks for watching and good luck.